For this tutorial, I'm going to show how you use motion guides. I'm going to create a new file on Flash using ActionScript 3.0, and my stage is going to open. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use all dots for this assignment. And so I'm going to use the oval tool. I'm going to set my stroke and fill colors to something different for each dot that I draw. Okay, I can change the stroke height right here, which is going to increase the thickness of my border. And I'm going to draw my first dot on my stage. Once I've drawn that dot, I'm going to go to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and I'm going to name it Pink Dot. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to move the dot to where I want it to start, and I'm going to name my layer. The next step is I need to add a motion guide. So I'm going to right-click on my pink dot layer, and I'm going to say Add Classic Motion Guide. Okay. Note that I did convert this to a symbol. Now that I've got my guide layer out, I'm ready to draw a pathway for it to follow. Okay. I'm going to grab my pencil tool, and at the bottom, I've got options for type of pencil mode I want to be in, straight, smooth, or ink. I'm going to use smooth. I'm going to click and make sure I'm on the guide layer, and I'm going to draw a pathway that I want it to follow. Now, that color could get confusing because it's the same color as I used for my dot. So I'm going to actually hit Control Z. I'm going to change my stroke color to black. Okay. I can also change like my stroke height to something a little bit smaller as well. All right, now I'm going to try again. I'm going to draw on my guide layer a pathway for this ball to follow. Perfect. On the guide layer, I want it to stay up for a certain amount of time. If it stayed up till 50, then my circle would move really quickly around the guide. If I chose 120, it would move much slower. I'm going to choose something in the middle. I'm going to choose 90, and I'm going to insert a frame on the guide layer. Okay. I'm going to go back to my dot layer, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say Create Classic Tween. Notice when I do that, it snaps to the line. I'm going to set it to the line where I want it to start, and then I'm going to insert a keyframe at 90, and I'm going to move it to where I want it to end. When I hit enter, it follows that line. Next, I'm going to insert another layer on the very top, insert layer, and I'm ready to draw my next dot. Okay, in this case, I'm going to do a red dot. Okay, and so that I don't get confused right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide what I just did, and I'm going to start from scratch. Okay, so for my red dot, I'm going to go over to my oval tool, grab the color red, choose a stroke color. For consistency, I'm going to give it the same stroke height. I'm going to draw it on the screen, and I'm going to modify, convert it to a symbol. I'm going to call it red dot. As soon as it's where I want it to be, I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a classic motion guide. Okay. For this one, I'm going to use something different. I'm going to use my oval tool to have it follow a circular motion. So I'm going to change it to color black. I'm going to change my stroke height to 5. And very important, I'm going to change my fill color to none. Okay, so it'll only draw the pathway. I'm then going to hold down Shift and draw a nice big circle that I want my dot to follow. I'm going to get my selection tool. I'm going to highlight a small section and I'm going to delete it. Okay. On my red dot layer, I'm going to create a classic tween and it's going to jump to that line. At 90, I'm going to insert a keyframe again and I'm going to move it to the other side of the line. Okay. And it follows without a problem. Okay? It's very important to remember you have to insert a layer at the very top every time. Okay? Once that layer is named and you've drawn your object, in this case a green dot, right? I will go over and I'll grab my colors. Once I've drawn that, I must highlight everything I drew, modify, convert to symbol. Then I'm going to add my motion guide, right? So I'm going to add my classic motion guide, and I'm going to choose the pathway that I want it to follow. In this case, I've done a pencil tool, I've done the oval tool, so let's use the rectangle tool. Okay, I'm going to change the color of to black, right? My fill color is going to be none, and I'm going to change my stroke again to 5. Now I'm ready to draw my guide. My guide's going to go like this, make it a little bit smaller than last time. I'll use my selection tool to cut out a small space, and it'll be ready to go. In this case, I might decide I don't want it to be a perfect square. Maybe I want it to follow more of a diamond pattern. I can easily rotate it, make sure it's on my screen, for my dot to follow. On my green dot layer, I'm going to right click, create classic tween, and move it to where I want it to start. Make sure that it snaps to the line, right click, and insert a keyframe at the end on 90 in this case, and snap it to the other side. And now it'll follow that. If I want to see what it's looking like so far, I can go to Control, Test Scene, and it'll give me an idea of what this looks like. Okay. Let's keep going. We've got 3 dots so far. We've got 2 more to go. I'm going to insert a layer, okay, and I'm going to see what colors I've chosen. I've got green, pink, and red. So let's have this one be a yellow dot. I'm going to click there. I'm going to go over here, grab my oval tool from my toolbar, and I'm going to create a yellow dot. I'll have a bright yellow stroke, and let's do a light yellow interior. And let's have it right there. Remember that I like consistency, so I'm going to change my stroke height to 10 again. And when I'm done drawing it, I'm going to click on the keyframe, modify, convert to symbol. It's very repetitive once we get going. Okay? So now for this one, let's go ahead and use the pencil tool again. Okay? You could even draw something a little bit more creative, right? If you wanted to have it follow the shape of a heart, right? You could do that. Sorry, I'm going to change my stroke color to black, and stroke height 5. And I'm going to grab my pencil tool again. Let's add the classic motion guide. And now I'm going to draw a pathway. So in this case, it shows a heart. Okay? It might not be the most beautiful heart, but nonetheless, it is a heart. I'm going to follow the same pattern again. Create classic tween. My dot jumps to my line. Okay? And then at 90, insert a keyframe. And it follows the path. Again, all of these motion guides. Right? Last one of the day. Insert a layer. Right? I'm going to look again, see what color I can do. Yellow, green, pink, red. Okay, so let's choose a different color for our oval tool this time. Let's do a dark blue, or actually a purple. Okay, just choose a color that might like look a little interesting with that. Let's try this. Right, let's do our stroke height at 10. And here we go, last one. I'm happy with it. Modify, convert to symbol, right? Purple dot. Add a classic motion guide. Okay, and this time I've got all of the options at my disposal. I could do an oval, a rectangle, a polystar, or I could use my pencil tool again. So let's just use the polystar because we haven't used it yet. I'll grab my color that I want, the stroke height I want. And remember, we really want to make sure our fill color is nothing. Right, I'm going to draw my polystar. We'll have it follow a smaller pathway this time. Move it more into the center. And I'm going to cut out a small piece of it so that we know the circle knows where to start next. Also going to make sure that this knows that it's purple dot layer. And here we go. Create classic tween. Should be pretty repetitive at this point. Right click. Insert a keyframe. There it goes. Again, one last time. Control, test C. There we go. Thanks for watching.